Hello everyone, this is Rajiv Kohli and welcome back to our channel The Teacher. And today I'm not going to teach you something, but I would like to show you something that I was working on from past 2 years. So here we have this project, a solution for PowerPoint YoAnime. I named it YoAnime, and in the solution we have three projects: YoAnime COM Wrapper, YoAnime Server, and YoAnime Task Pane. So let me show you what it is now capable of doing with something with PowerPoint. So let's get started and click the start button, and you can see that it is a multi-project solution containing two projects. One is VSTO PowerPoint Add-in and another is WPF application, and the third one is a COM wrapper used to communicate between all of these three. So let me tell you one more thing, that it is what I'm going to show you was all that possible because of ChatGPT, and only ChatGPT, no Gemini, no Copilot, and also ChatGPT 3.5. The most important role of the building this application is ChatGPT and me and code. So let's start. So now we are in PowerPoint, and here we have our task pane with some new features that I would like to introduce through my add-in. So currently it is under development, and I don't know when I will publish it to the store here, or maybe that is even possible or not, I'm not sure. So for now, let me show you the working of my add-in. So let's first draw a shape and apply animation. Let's say fade animation with a duration of 1 second. Start with previous, and now I select this shape and use copy and paste. So if now I open the animation pane, then you can see all the animation effects which are also copied along with the shapes. So in PowerPoint, if you wanted to add a delay between these animation effect, then you have to do this manually. Like if I want to have a delay of 0.25 seconds between each of the effect, like this. For the third effect we need 0.50, and for the fourth effect we need 0.75, and all of them are set to with previous. I don't want to set them to after previous, not like this, because that way the second effect will get played only after the first effect will finish. So I have done a little bit work here on this advanced delay timings. So let's see what is this capable of. So I select all the shapes and click advanced delay timings, and we have this window here, and here I said I would like to have a delay timing of 0.25 seconds. Initial delay I don't want, and duration will be 1 second, and type of delay will be linear, not exponential. For the time, let me choose linear and hit the OK key. That's it. And here you have the delay between each of the animation effect as you desired. So the next is again advanced delay timings. I set them all of them to with previous, and if you click without selecting a shape, then it will warn you and even if you select a single shape, then it will still warn you that you have to select at least 2 shapes to test this feature along with animation effects. So the next thing is advanced delay timing with exponential delay. So for exponential delay, I have to apply initial delay first and duration. That tab setting is not correct here. You can see that I need to refine the code a bit. So I choose exponential, and here I choose 1.3. Hit OK, and there you have the exponential delay between the animation effects. Let me expand this so you can see all the animation effects. So let's see the preview. Nice. Next thing is having a custom animation duration. For the example, let's say I again insert a shape here and apply a fade in animation. So as you might know that PowerPoint has a limitation to apply the animation effect duration from the timing section of animations tab. So from here you can go up to only 59 seconds. Let me show you. So you can't give more than that. To bypass this limit, you can double click and go to timings tab, and here you can apply a duration up to 10 minutes. And let's say I fill up 600 seconds, hit OK, and here you can see in the timeline that up to 10 minutes has been defined. And for your kind information, if you don't know already this, then the timeline of PowerPoint animation pane is endless as the time is infinite. So here we can see that it is extended to 10 minutes. But you have a workaround here, like you can also extend the animation effect limit by dragging and dropping this. Like you can expand the duration to infinity by dragging and then moving to the right side of the screen. So that way you can endlessly hold the mouse button up to your lifetime and it is not going to stop. So to easily apply animation duration of your choice, you can use custom animation duration, and you only have to tell that how much time you want in seconds or in hours, minutes or seconds. So let's say I fill up here 1200 seconds. Okay, and that has been applied in a blink of eye. Let me show you that if it is really working. So up to 20 minutes we have to go. You can't move more faster than this. So here you can see that we have the 20 seconds duration, 20 minutes duration. So how much you can go? You can go endless. Okay, and that has been applied just within a second. Endless. So that was the second solution. Not very much impressive, but maybe a little use. Like if you wanted to make a solar system animation, 2D solar system animation, then it could be useful, where you have to define timings up to days or years even. So next we have add delay between repeats. I am working on this. It is not working perfect, so I will show you that later on. So now the next one is reverse shape order. Not very impressive, but still maybe for few people it will be usable. Like, let me change the colors so you can identify what is going on. So Control A, let me close this animation pan. Control A, and then reverse shape order. And you can see, if you wanted to do this manually, then it is going to take a lot of time. But with this reverse shape order, just in a single click, you can change the orders of shapes like this. And then we have object properties. What it does, it tells you the selected shape informations in 3 units: inches, pixels, and points. And if you have applied a motion path to it, let's say, let me delete all of them except one, and to this shape I will apply the motion path, let's say linear motion path. And now if I go to object properties, then I also try to add this option here, add vertical lines. And now if I click OK, you can see that it has drawn a line. I should draw a horizontal line. Let's try with horizontal. Path type linear. And we also have it doesn't calculate the length of the motion path in points. Let's see if it is calculating in pixels. Not. I will make it correct later on. Maybe I messed up with some codes because earlier it was showing this. Anyway, let's add horizontal line, and it is for the time only adding line to the starting point of the motion path. Maybe I have messed up with codes, so it is not applying a line here at the end of the motion path. No worries, we'll take care of that as well. Now the important part of our PowerPoint add-in is this start YoAnime Server. So as soon as I click on this checkbox here, let me show you a folder. Let me delete all these old logs. Oh, I have to rerun this solution. Okay, let me show you from the beginning again. I hope you will have time to listen all of this. Earlier I have also made a few videos about how you can start making your own PowerPoint add-in, and the idea came to my mind was from this Script Lab add-in. If you have not tried it yet, I must say that you should. You can see that it is a very informative and knowledgeable add-in. It will teach you a lot of things. You can try HTML, CSS and JavaScript code here. I have explained in depth about Script Lab in my earlier videos. Let me show you them as well. And let's also move back to our add-in. And as soon as I will start this YoAnime server, you will see that all these log files has been generated automatically. So we are using serial log in our Visual Studio to log the events of our PowerPoint add-in, the complete solution, into separate log files. So as soon as I make a check mark on this start YoAnime server, so it has started the server in the background. That is our WPF application, Window Platform Foundation application, that we have linked with our VSTO PowerPoint add-in. So the next thing is I would like to show you the logs. So here we have the add-in start log, and you can see that logging is initialized first, and that is why we will be able to see the next logs. And then our add-in starts, it make a COM connection, then it creates initialize and create the instance of task pane control, and then it start noticing the event selection, Windows change selection event, that if the PowerPoint window has been minimized or restored or has been switched by using Alt tab. And then we have task pane control, and you can see that the first message is hiding status bar and animation manager. And then we have task pane instance created, starting WPF application. WPF application started successfully, connecting to name pipe client, and that is also successful. And then it show you the 3 further options in the add-in: custom rotation point, animation manager, and the status bar. So let's first check the status bar, and I would also like to show you a few more logs. We also have this PowerPoint environment monitor, which is monitoring everything the users doing with PowerPoint window and other events. Then we have a pipe server here in the task pane add-in, and then we have name pipe client that is also inside the task pane add-in, and then we have the log, and that is from our YoAnime server. So let me show you the code files. These are all the code files of our task pane, and this is our server, and this is our COM wrapper. So when we click on start WPF, then you can see that what it does. It also initializes the YoAnime COM wrapper along with the WPF application, and then we have a few UI elements that we are trying to introduce with our PowerPoint add-in. So here you can see the wrappers method log, and that is COM wrapper or YoAnime COM wrapper, and that is the server inside the WPF application who will receive the messages from name pipe client, and that is our PowerPoint add-in. And that is the custom rotation point on which I am still working on, but would like to show you that what I am able to achieve up to now. Let me delete these lines. So let me show you the status bar first, and that is our info text manager. You can see that here in the server here, info text manager. So this class is responsible to do what it will do now. So let's say I turn on this status bar, and then I select a shape, and here we have the complete information that we need about our selected shape: the size, the position, the rotation point, motion path if applied, and if auto reverse has been applied or not. Let me apply the auto reverse here, and delete this one. Now I select this shape again and click the restore button here, because that is the same shape, so I have to click on the restore button. Rectangle 17 is the name, and we have the position, size, rotation point, motion path length. Motion path, it took me a lot of time to clarify that, how we can fetch the SVG motion path or VLM motion path in PowerPoint. and how we can detect if auto reverse has been applied or not. So we also know the length of this motion path as well, and the starting position and the end position of the motion path as well. So that is going to very useful for our next logics, that we have implemented a few of the logics after receiving the selected shape information in PowerPoint inside our WPF application. So let me show you this custom rotation point. Animation manager is, I'm working on this, so let me show you this, and that is what I am able to achieve through this add-in by the help of ChatGPT. Do remember that if you have not started using it, I must say that, and if you are a developer, then you must use it. Will give you a lot of help. So let me show you the custom rotation point, which is the main feature of our add-in here. So let's select this shape here, and as you have turned on this, so as soon as you will select this shape, good, very good, it doesn't appear. I think I missed something, so let's start again. I told you that it is under development, so I was messing up with codes earlier, so that maybe we can see an exception here. Earlier it has thrown an exception here when I was enabling or disabling these features. So I make a check mark here and turn on the custom rotation point. So now if I select this shape, then you can see we have this rotation point. However, I am still working on this. I am trying to make this appear in the center and middle of this selected shape according to the size and position of the shape. So the calculations are wrong because we have to take care of lot of things here, like the slide size, the window size, and the canvas size on which this custom rotation point is on. So what is this rotation point is capable of doing? And not much, just I would like to show you that what it can does now. This is the UI element of our WPF application. So as I drag and drop this UI right here, so you can see that it has attached a oval shape to this rectangle here, and if I show you the selection pane, then you can see that it has grouped the rectangle with an oval. So I am trying to make a solution here to have a custom rotation point with just one click to the selected shape. So this is what I am currently able to achieve after 2 years of work. However, there are a lot of things that needs to be improved before we can publish this to the store. So let me show you once again. However, after deleting the shape, this custom rotation point should hide. I have not implemented this logic here yet, and it is also still for the single shape only, not for multiple shapes. And if you can assume that I am dragging and dropping it from the center of the shape to, let's say, this point, but it is creating an oval shape at this position. Or the confusion is because of this custom rotation point is not inside the PowerPoint window. It is a separate application, window platform foundation application, which is running in its own window, and its window is transparent, and that is why you only see the custom rotation point. And if I turn on the status bar, this is also the second UI element of our WPF application. And we have also but you can say embedded the web view too. Let me show you. I have implemented web view 2 here. Let me see. Yeah, that is here. So I just make it visible and save the changes, clean the project, clean the solution, sorry, and then rebuild the solution. And for the logs, everything is being recorded in the background, and that is very much important. Actually, we are seeing the PowerPoint without looking at PowerPoint through the numbers and text only. So what the user is doing inside the PowerPoint and on the slides and with the shapes, we are logging everything. So this is our custom rotation point manager log, and you can see that it is recording everything. Every move of the custom rotation point is being recorded here, and here you can see that how it grouped the rectangle shape with the oval shape. So let's start again, and just 2 more minutes of only, and I'm going to finish this video, and I hope you will find it useful and will also try to make something much better than this. I'm not a developer. I did this all through the ChatGPT. I don't even can write these code by myself. I just used ChatGPT and instructed him that what I need, and just use a few of my logics to implement these codes. That's it, nothing more. So let's start it again, and I would like to show you the web view too. I have just initialized it only. I wanted to use it to embed the web contents inside the slide using the COM wrapper, and I think it is almost impossible, but still I am finding some ways to do this. We can also we have also applied another logic here for the web view too. However, if you right click on this custom rotation point, then I'm trying to create more logics here, like I was testing this one. However, it is not of any use. This is just for entertainment purpose only. All these things that you are seeing here is on our WPF application window, not inside the PowerPoint. However, this custom rotation point is totally interlinked with this shape. It knows about this shape, everything about this shape. So if I click on this, then it will immediately add a shape to the selected shape. So I also implemented a little bit here the code to send a message to the web view 2 that I need to open this particular website, and I'm working on this advanced animation. I have already did shape manipulations, you can see here, and we also have a lot of VB scripts that I created through ChatGPT. Let me show you one of them. So here you can see that I think this one is not using the COM wrapper, or it is no, and this one, yes, this one is using our COM wrapper. Which one is this? Shape manipulation. test your animation methods. So maybe you can see that the shape automatically rotated and changed its position because we have applied logic here. Let me show you the logs. One method is automatically happening when I select a shape. This one is being done by our COM wrapper, manipulating the shapes. So I'm trying to find ways to manipulate the shapes and the animations through our task pane, Visual Studio Tools for Office, or WPF application, which is acting as a named pipe server, and this add-in is acting as a named pipe client, and the COM wrapper is intermediate in both of them. So I hope you will like this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about this, and if you really liked it, then write a little bit comments and I will appreciate that. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye and take care.